There's a lot of buzz around Hogwarts Legacy, the new Harry Potter game, and not all of it is good. While some are calling it the best Harry Potter game ever, others are going so far as to call everyone who plays the game a transphobic. I don't know what size of rock you would need to have been hiding under to not know about the Harry Potter franchise. Originally a series of books turned movies, and now everything from t-shirts to theme parks to toys to wands for grown-ups. It's a huge and beloved franchise to millions across the world, and launched the careers of several actors and made author JK Rowling, at one time living off state welfare, into a billionaire. The franchise also spawned a series of video games which for the most part range from pretty forgettable to downright terrible, save for a few exceptions. However, in September 2020, Potter fans worldwide were excited to hear about the announcement of Hogwarts Legacy, an open-world RPG that allowed you to, as the tagline says, live the unwritten. From what we could see so far, the game looked excellent and everything Potter fans had hoped previous games could have been. So why all the hate around the game? Well, turns out author JK Rowling said some stuff that didn't go down too well with many people. In June 2020, JK Rowling retweeted an opinion piece regarding the term people who menstruate and took issue with the fact that it didn't just use the word woman. She then doubled down by expressly saying that while she supports trans women in their shared discrimination with women, she believes that calling trans women woman erases the identity of what it means to be a woman. The result was that she skyrocketed up the most hated people in the transgender community list and became persona non grata to pretty much any ally to trans rights. But what does that have to do with the video game? Well, despite the fact that JK didn't work on Hogwarts Legacy, her intellectual property is certainly being used in the creation of the game, and thus is definitely receiving royalties from its sales. So many are boycotting the game and asking others to do the same, as a way to financially impact JK, which in many ways makes a lot of sense since consumers have been doing this sort of thing for years. We've even seen examples where particularly vocal causes and petitions have resulted in countries imposing sanctions on certain industries, companies, or even the exports from entire countries based on ethical grounds. What is so interesting about this particular incident is perhaps how mixed the reaction is. Certain parties are so aggressively boycotting the game that they are attacking anyone who plays it, including hate raiding certain streamers and overwhelming their channel with negative comments. We've seen several prominent gaming sites even refuse to review Hogwarts Legacy as they don't want to give any undue press or promotion to the game, which might increase sales. Others are extremely excited about the game and are able to divorce themselves from the political viewpoints of the creator while still being able to enjoy the product. There are others who believe by supporting the game they are somehow taking a stand against transgender activists. And of course there's a group who remains completely oblivious to what is going on, whether willfully or accidentally. So are you an if you play Hogwarts Legacy? Well, firstly, is it actually possible to separate a product from its creator? I guess that's very dependent on what the product is and also how much the behavior of the creator offends you. Remember when the former Nestle chairman told everyone that water was not a human right? Folks got pretty upset by that and naturally boycotted Nestle and its wide variety of products, not just water. Some found it difficult to divorce the chairman's comments from the company since, well, Nestle is in the water business and the chairman has a pretty commanding influence on that business. It's a bit trickier when it comes to art, especially when the name of the creator is so connected to the content. Take comedian Louis CK, who was exposed recently about his after-hours activities with some female fans. Do I think he is hilarious as a comedian? Yes. Do I think what he did was pretty icky? Also yes. Am I able to separate Louis the comedian from Louis the guy with the weird sex thing? That's a bit harder since it's him on stage. It also depends on how reprehensible you find the creator's actions to be. Many advocated for Kanye to be removed from his sponsors after his anti-Semitic remarks, while others remained fans. Some folks called for Donald Trump's removal from the race for the presidency after his grab them by the remarks were brought to light, as well as a host of other comments, but he still has millions of fans. What if Hitler were the only one making organic, fair trade, sustainably grown coffee? Terrible example, I know, but the point is separating the creator from the product has a ton of variables. Okay, so if you can separate Harry Potter from JK's political views, What about other ethical landmines? What if it were child labor or sexual harassment or unsafe labor practices? Racism, perhaps? Is there one line that we can all agree can't be crossed, or is it up to each individual to decide for themselves? With JK Rowling and Hogwarts Legacy, it's even more tricky because she was not directly involved in the creation of the game. So for many, it's easy to separate her and her political opinions, no matter how much they disagree with them, from the end product. Similarly to Louis CK, do I appreciate the magnificent work that JK Rowling has done in building for us this incredible world through the Harry Potter books? Yes. Do I want to know her political viewpoint? Not really. Does her political viewpoint hold extra sway because of her position of power, wealth, and influence? It really shouldn't, but unfortunately it does. In the same way as people would probably listen to her opinions on subjects like COVID vaccinations, despite her not being a medical expert. I believe perhaps what makes the situation hurt a bit more for some, based on the commentary I've been reading online, is that her statements around the exclusion of transgender women from the definition of woman seem like they're at odds with the world she created in Harry Potter, which was certainly one celebrating diversity, inclusion, and the fight against oppression, censorship, and hatred. Another thing to consider is what happens when your opinion of a creator changes after endorsing their content. You read the Harry Potter books, you watched the Harry Potter movies, you loved them so much you even went out and got a Harry Potter tattoo, and then years later the author who you held in such high regard goes and says something that perhaps you disagree with quite passionately. What now? Do you need to remove the tattoo? Are you no longer allowed to enjoy the memories of the books and the movies? The amount of moral gymnastics folks are doing to be able to still play Hogwarts Legacy but not come across as transphobic is ridiculous. Straight up copium, as the kids would say. Probably. I don't know, I can't keep up. I've heard some folks say they won't pay for the game, but will pirate it. Others who have a problem with the ethical issues of piracy are saying they won't buy the game but will trade for it, so JK doesn't get any of their money. And others are saying they will buy it, but they will donate an equal amount to a charity that supports transgender awareness and activism. The ludicrous nature of the situation is summarized perfectly for me by a tweet from The Serfs. Hogwarts Legacy is a really bizarre cultural phenomenon where the right thinks buying the most expansive edition is anti-trans activism when the game now contains trans and gay characters, while trans and gay people are asking people not to play it. Another question to ask is, do boycotts work? In principle, yes. The issue here, though, is does boycotting Hogwarts Legacy actually do anything to the person you are trying to boycott? Arguably no. The only folks who suffer are those involved in the development of the game, the hardworking teams who do their best to bring folks a game that they will enjoy, as well as those being bullied online for playing the game. One last point to consider is who actually carries the responsibility of researching information on the production of games. Is the onus on consumers to research every game they play to make sure it's not funding some or other political cause or nefarious pursuit? Is it the job of journalists to keep us informed? In industries like fast-moving consumer goods and apparel, there are several bodies like Fair Trade that ensure the products we enjoy are ethically and sustainably sourced. It feels like after scandals such as the Hogwarts Legacy one, and more directly from a labor exploitation point of view with Red Dead Redemption 2 and Cyberpunk 2077, that we are moving towards the need for a body which will certify games as being ethically produced. No programmers were harmed in the making of this game. Okay, enough exposition. Cock on the block. What do I believe? It's a tough one. On the one hand, I really think that what JK said was insensitive to a large group of people and that she has been given a political platform that she doesn't deserve simply by the virtue of her wealth. I also believe that one should be able to enjoy a product without having to analyze every aspect of the creator's politics and ethics. I do think at the end of the day that it's important to know what the fuss is about and not to be willfully ignorant, that there is an ethical line for many folks, and whether it's transgender rights, pollution, sexual harassment, child labor, it's a consumer's job to stay informed and to expect more from producers. In the end, we all believe the lies that make us happy. So if you believe that you can separate Hogwarts Legacy from JK and her statements, then that's your decision. If you believe that boycotting the game will make a difference, that's your decision. Are you an asshole for playing Hogwarts Legacy? No. If you bought the game to piss off the transgender community and its supporters, then yes, you're an asshole. And if you're bullying someone simply because they enjoyed this game, then you're an asshole too. At least both sides have that in common.